Alright, this is Pandarian. We're going to be getting into game 1 here. I already have watched through this, so I have a couple things that I'm going to bring up as I see them, that I saw throughout the set. There's going to be a little bit of downtime, but that's alright. So already I saw an example of something that I'm about to mention in a moment. It happens when you try to land up here. Typically, you do a lot of aggressive landings, and sometimes you will just get stuck between, yeah, right there. So you get stuck between whether you want to do an aggressive landing or whether you want to drift away. And a lot of the time that ends up you try to land towards the opponent, but you don't end up threatening with anything. And especially with Squirtle, it's hard to do that and have it be not telegraphed. So a lot of the time I like to drift away to platforms anyways, because a lot of people are expecting landing aerials, but sometimes you'll just land and not do anything. And doing tomahawks there is fine and all that, but generally what to take away from this is that you need to be drifting to platforms more, because especially on PS2, with platform heights like this and against a character like Terry, he's not really threatening you with anything. So I'm gonna go back to right here. So right here, if you did that double jump when you could have just got to the ground, but that's a separate thing. But if you just drifted to this platform, this right side platform right here, the worst that could have happened is you get hit by up air. And for Terry, that's like 10 damage. And that's not really that big of a problem, especially because like when landing, your goal isn't really to not get hit at all. Your goal is to minimize the amount of damage that you take. So generally, I'll see this throughout the set, but at the start here, it happened multiple times. You want to just like land more defensively and just not really force anything, because you're not being threatened too much, but you're playing it like you're against a character that has like an aerial that'll kill you at like 70. Yeah. So I'm gonna move forward a little bit here. There's not really too much that happened this stock with Ivy. There's a couple good ideas that I saw that you just like right here. Like I like that idea. I would have gone for the same thing. I do miss inputs like that all the time. You had the read, but it just didn't. You just didn't execute it correctly, and that just happens. You generally played this stock pretty alright. Nice little jump read. Good catch. Back to Squirtle there. Unsafe switch. I mean, I get it. I do that sometimes, but what I like to do is I just jump backwards and do a swap. Just being grounded in general gives, against characters like Terry especially, they get more combos off of it. Off of the grounded starters than they would off of an aerial. So just doing a jump, even if they do read your switch, it minimizes the damage. So something here, yeah, right there. This is something I was seeing earlier. It worked out there, but there's too many aerial approaches as Squirtle. And as Squirtle, like your primary goal is to do many different neutral options, because you have dash grab, you have pivot cancel, F tilt, you have all these different aerials, you can tomahawk and all that stuff. You want to mix them all in to about balance out how much you're doing each one of them, so the opponent can't really react to each of them. And throughout the set, the Terry gets a little better at dealing with it, because you'll typically not really do a lot of pivot cancel F tilt. Like you won't really do that at all, and you especially don't dash grab. So dash grab, like, while in theory there's, I mean, Squirtle's aerials are safe and you know, pivot cancel F tilt works well, but people start to hold shield against Squirtle just straight up. So just doing dash grab just completely raw works a lot of the time, because a lot of people aren't really playing around that, and they'll start to shield because they're scared of how fast Squirtle's aerials are, and they can't really react to the approach because of how bursty he is, so they hold shield in anticipation. So just doing a lot of dash grab would really help a lot. This is tough. Getting off ledge here as Charizard is not really easy. What I'd do is I'd probably just try to go for a high Flare Blitz to reset neutral. Works out fine there, but typically a good Terry player would probably have killed you there. Alright, so starting here, or a little bit before, and going on as you play Charizard, one thing that I really noticed is that, you know, there's not really like a reason for you to get super close as Charizard. F-Tilt and Bear are ridiculously safe when max spaced, and they're the best when they're max spaced, and when you're up close, they're like shield grabbable and all that kind of stuff. And as Charizard, you're running in a lot. You're like getting really close when there's not really a reason to. And I mean, like, you're trying to dash attack, like right here, you're gonna dash attack. But you could honestly just like stand there and then do F-Tilt and then turn around and do back air. And since Terry is kind of a stubby character, I mean, he has burst options like Crack Shoot, but you can just threaten with that, especially like at this percent range. Like when you're at 150 and Terry's at like 49, he's pretty scared. Like one back air could put him in a position where he gets like 50-50 to die at this percent. So just threatening those things, even if he knows it's going to happen, which a lot of people do. When you're playing against Charizard, you're like, he wants to back air me, he wants to F-tilt me. And that's fine, because there's not really much they can do about it. Because if you're at that range and you're doing the F-tilts and back airs as efficiently as you can, you know, your turnarounds are good, you're doing it at good timings, there's not really much counterplay to be had there. I mean, you can get a hit in here and there, you know, because you have to mix up eventually, but doing that way more is definitely going to help you a lot, because I mean, I like dash attack, I do it a lot, but it's good. Dash attack is good when they're not expecting you to go in. So whenever I've been sitting there and I've been F-tilting and I've been back airing for like 30 seconds and then I do a dash attack and it hits, that's because they are conditioned to think that I'm just going to do the two safe moves, because I am. I mean, it's good. But in general, you want to just be doing a lot more of just safe poking with Charizard, because that's where he excels. He's really good at maintaining stocks with safe aerials, and if you're going in too much, then that makes him a little more fragile than he's supposed to be. And yeah, that's it for this game.